a couple streams today. It's not super late today, and I'm just needing to pace myself. I want to wait till there's people here listening. And I'm trying to get something to open on the computer here that I want to follow. Not exactly a script, but sort of. There's no guarantee. That's a good message. I think she did. But whether it's life stuff, busy client, base and that, there's no guarantee. So, but also, life is fragile. So, and as much as I appreciate rolling live in the community here, and but I'm rolling now. So, although now it's like speed scrolling through this message, and I can't stop it at the moment. But it stopped at a random spot, or at least it has for a moment, and I feel like I'm meant to process this. And in case, because there's a lot of reading I have to look back later, in case I don't come across this spot later, let me just look at it and see if there's anything to maybe put into this video. And I did read this before I started. Chapstick if you're curious, Chapstick if you're not. Canadian companies like Habitat for Humanity or whatever, they don't just donate materials for any project. You apply. Which maybe they figured I would know that. Not everybody would, but when I initially reached out to them, you apply, they pick projects or the family, and volunteers build under their supervision. It's not a free supply depot for other nonprofits. And then it jumped a little bit. Hello to the person that's here. Welcome, welcome. I'm just starting this one. 3 minutes in. Looking at my other screen as well. Bye. At least it looks like you left. I did not realize that they usually build homes in this topic that I'm looking at. But the first most important thing that I feel like I need to look at, and that we all do, and there was somebody very briefly there, but where's that other? I don't know. I find one. I can't find the one. I know I was using it before. Oh, it's right here. I don't need that. Oops, sorry about that. Got this leaning on the back of my laptop. What time is it? It's not quite technology yet. Their response, and I don't remember what I said in the messages, but apparently their response rate is decent if you fit their mandate. And I seems to be saying the thing that I used to get how I got some of these answers, just in what I'm saying. They could be wrong, but they seem to be saying, "Oh, hello again, Ant. Glad to have you here. So what time of day is it now? It must be past midnight, right? Really happy to have you here." They seem to be saying that my project does not resonate, but I just want to kind of speak a bit. So I am tired. I took a little bit of a break. I didn't watch a movie. I did have lunch. I did have some coffee. I did leave a voicemail. Yo, man, what's up? Anganikachave? I've heard of Kokave, but Ngani Kotrave, is that your name? Or is it S Ngani Kotrave? Either way, it's cool. Don't forget to like. I appreciate it. I might do some music. We'll see. Kotrave, okay. That is your. Is that a first name or sounds like a last name? Maybe a Greek. I don't know if it sounds Greek or what, but that's cool. Um, he is in India. He's not trying to sound racist and asking that, and he's fine if you're not. But maybe he thinks the name sounds like it. I support small content creators and everyone. Right on. Well, I welcome you to subscribe then, to like. So do I. I try to, and I really appreciate that. I was initially going to try and do this on the computer. It's mostly been working with the other streams I've done today, but it was being a bit wonky, and then it just would not bring the webcam on and start it. It wasn't doing what it was doing before, where it showed the little icon and like had it crossed out, but it was not also was not lighting up and starting the video. Nope, I'm Nepal. I was under the impression that about geography, but that Nepal is India. Now, I'm not the one that mostly has anything to do with it, but we have a lot of Nepal singing bowls in our home. And some flutes. Sri Lanka, yeah, we probably have some from there too. Now I'm thinking of Tara. I haven't seen her music in a while. I don't want to give the dog something else to distract himself with, but I might have to put him upstairs if he's not going to be quiet, because he's had a couple of those treats already. But he's going to be, he's had food, he's been out, he's got water. He started to drink his water downstairs again, actually. Fun fact, LKJ stands for Ladies Love Cool James. Okay, random, funny, Lewis Beasley. But cool, I don't think that's necessarily a troll kind of statement. I think it's kind of jumping right in with a random statement, but I'll be right back under 5 minutes. Under 5 minutes, very glad to have you both here. Just starting the video, and I'd like to do it. Yeah, very slow. So I'm trying to decide what approach I want to take, how I want to approach this. Sorry. Oh, okay. Started a new path by it, What do you mean by that? Oh, yeah, he's asking too. I'm here in Canada. So, I have to watch the time and try and call G during his lunch at around 1:30. Please, I don't know if I'm do. Even though I'm trying to be strongly focused. So I want to make this thing later. It's got mango, lime juice. I might throw some nuts in there. And what was the other thing? Cucumber. Does that sound like that's enough ingredients, or does it sound like there should be something else in there? I may or may not have a phone call interrupt me, but I don't imagine it'll be a very long call. We're just touching base about something quickly. I did keep that short and sweet, but here I am rolling. But anyway, and also, asked if we could book a meeting with him. So we might just be doing that. Or I said, or have a phone call. And if he's ready to do the phone call now, well, then I guess we'll see. But right now I'm talking to you all here. Oh, Kathmandu. Nice, nice. Yeah, I am not as good at getting sound out of those bowls, but I'm almost thinking I should try. I just sat down, got comfy though. And I've been feeling kind of slow and so today. But, and I do and don't notice that they really kind of relax and do all that much for me. They can though, kind of. How's the political station right there? You guys just here to talk with yourselves or what? Just kidding. Am I just a platform? No, just kidding. No, I know that you're just getting to know the other person here and still packing. Okay. Wow. How much did you travel with? How long were you gone for? What part of Europe were you in? That's all my questions for now. I'm going to segue from that in a very nice and hopefully deep way. Well, I'm not intending to be deep, but I probably will be. Kind of like to go to Sri Lanka, boy. Okay. Anywho, I'm often on about it on this channel because I have a lot of angels that have passed away, a lot of loved ones. And I just know from living life, and some of us are older than others of us, but age doesn't really matter. Life is fragile. So I always appreciate when you guys take the time in your life and in your day and enjoy being here to chat with me. Wow, you're pretty smart about that stuff there, Alex. If you could relive one day from your past, which would it be? Milo, just jumping in with a question there. Tamel, yeah. That's one of those deep, hard questions that is almost unanswerable. If anybody else has an answer for it, feel free to answer it. I will try. I will see what comes to mind from that. Mediterranean, visiting 2 places. So I didn't know that was in Europe. Again, bad at geography. And I guess you did a lot of shopping too. And yeah. Hello, how are you? And an interesting font and an interesting symbol. SB Coloring. I almost recognize the picture, but a lot of people have those kind of spots on their pictures. You've updated your picture again, Kirsty. Kirsty. Right. Bro, you're Tamil. You live in Nepal. Yeah, it could happen. I'm stuck here in Canada. I'm trying to make the most of it. Anyway. I need water. We all need to remember hydration. Maybe he's mixed heritage. So pardon me for my slowness. My throat does feel a little bit swollen. I did a real long stream the other day. I've done a couple that were about together, half of that one's length. And also just, yeah, I don't think Christy ran anywhere, but it says this too. I can almost feel it, but I think I naturally would. But it's like, anyway, I could have tea, but even if it's not caffeinated, me? Oh, them. Okay. But me? No better. Anyway, it's sugar. It's mixed feelings. It's easier to answer the harder. But I feel like that question was meant to come into it. The best, what was it? The best day of your life? Or someone said, what was your most memorable life? If you could relive one day. See, I don't know if I would answer that in terms of like a day or a time, a spot in my life. Like anywhere before the age of 11, for instance. To narrow it down to one day is a little bit trickier, for sure. No. I know this, you don't, but no. I mean, he would have told you, but no. Anyway, but again, if anybody else has an answer for that question, they're welcome to answer it. I think it's a great question. But anyway, point of the matter being, I'm sorry, I keep doing this. I'm not meaning to intentionally look like I'm praying, or maybe I am. I don't know. Anyway, I'm agnostic, really. But anyway. Hello, Depression Talk. Again, great to have you here. Irony. I saw your video a little bit earlier, and I can't remember, you were doodling or something, and I didn't know what was going on. Anch. Okay, sorry. The other person's leaving, but probably, I'm guessing. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm guessing. But Anch doesn't sleep much, so, you know. Anch is such a cool name. Anyway. And life is a cool and sometimes cruel game, isn't it? But here's the point of the matter. I am a little too strong, a little too tenacious to just give up in life. I know, I was just joking. Anyway, mostly. But what time is it? Like 1 a.m. there? Anyway, to just give up in life. I am. I think in some ways maybe I have at times. But I have life, I have breath, I have dreams. I am always, mostly open to learning. And one of my hopes is not only to be there to support people going through various things in their life on here and in life when I am able to. But, like I say, things are about to start getting a bit busier again after a bit of a slow patch. But still, it's and it'll be finding that balance, I'm pretty sure. Not a huge time difference anyway, but it's always a thing music. I don't know if this is going to be like a theater piece or not, but I'm just saying, improvise nonetheless. Music is what I started with at a very young age. It has always stayed with me, even at times when I thought, yeah, maybe I should put it aside for a while. Healing work, when able to do it. Live streaming, thankfully. And I've heard of them. I know people say that people look like them. I've even heard that to me. I've heard that to a middle-aged lady as well. As far as I've noticed, they look like BTS, and I'm not Asian. I mean, so I've actually thought earlier today that you're pretty light skin for someone that's Middle Eastern, but maybe you're also mixed haired. But then you kind of confused about the other viewer. But it's all good. I mean, that's not I noticed. Anyway, point of the matter being is that there are lots of stray kids. There are lots of troubled youth. There are lots of people struggling. And at times, but I saw your comment. I obviously read it. At times, I have been one of those people. In some ways, but I've also come a long way. I just want to quickly take a look at. I know it's in small view, and I have something else open on the computer right now. Although I could open it, I could have this open on my other device. Makes sense. Milo, are you still there? That's an interesting combination of letters and numbers after your name. And watching if you're still there. My gym teacher's name was Milo, actually. Somebody not right around there actually said something about going to the gym, which is somewhat ironic considering that there is a kind of a gym. Actually, there's one very nearby, but it's, for you. Also, song that brings back strong memories for you. That's a good question, especially as a musician streaming. Again, I find it a hard one to answer, but you're welcome to. I'm sorry. He hasn't said anything further that one. If you haven't liked yet, please do. There's at least a couple of you here, it looks like, maybe more than that. Doug, are you still there? I sleep much, but not as much as I would like. Maybe you thought, yeah, what kind of thing is that to jump into a conversation with? And he really doesn't look like them. I just was curious if he had heard of them. And I have, but that's about all I could say is that I've heard of them. Anyway, I so want to give back. I so want to give back. And some people would say volunteer. But there's usually quite a process. There's a process in a lot of stuff, really, though. And I mean, it's not like it's like, undoable. It might be a bit challenging for me, but sometimes people, can get help in the process. But it's also knowing exactly how you want to go about it, right? I don't understand that, but yet it's live right now. But I did see something else that reminded me of Australia. The 7 days goes by. I feel like I'm being shown signs on my screen. That I just don't understand. Why is it usual? Looks like a nice enough lady though, but looks a little bit like. Am I wrong, or do you feel like this person looks a little bit like you, Kirsty? Yeah, my computer's being a bit slow at the moment. But yeah, so management isn't great there. They only hire staff. They have certain ways of going about things, and yeah, they're not. The only volunteers they might have is at the front desk of the location that's further. Oh, she's musical too, and she's got a tube top on. No, I'm sorry. But she's also using headphones. I don't know why. Like, I never use headphones when I'm doing my covers. And, anyway. Slack is a must. Okay. Hello, Gojo Satoru. I almost want to say Satori because that seems to roll off the tongue more naturally. But welcome. Where are you watching from? First time here? How'd you come across the channel? Glad to have you here. So, India. Well, that makes 3 of you in this stream. Maybe I should be in India. Maybe I'd, maybe things would be, But I live in a place, I'm not going to say where in Canada, but I live in a place, and it's not the only place in Canada, that is very culturally diverse. And so I'm just also going to bring this up on my computer. It is also, sorry about any advertisements. I think I have them set to low. I'm doing this on the computer though, so I couldn't set it. And monitors in case anybody wants to give anything. It's an interesting drawing cartoon. Your uncle or brother? Why, I'm half brother to somebody. I'm not an uncle to anybody, except for, I had a very interesting experience with that on here the other day, but it was actually really lovely. And maybe he looks at me as an uncle now, or at least a brother. But it's kind of random. Anyway, okay, my computer's being a bit, or is it? Yeah, it's being a bit wonky. It doesn't want to give me my pointer onto the window. It's giving me my pointer on my screensaver desktop area. There, I click. Now it's froze up, but it's giving me. Yeah, so just remember that one from the audition. And then remember briefly, it was like you had to go, but you decided not to, or you had to go to the bathroom, or you have to go. Either way, why rush off? You just got here. What time did you say? Oh no, it's not quite midnight. No, it's like 11:34, but it's not actually. No, just kidding. Okay, so, and it's almost 1:30 here. But that's right. I've found out that some countries, they're also, like, it's not just how many hours different. They're sometimes off by like a few minutes too. It seems like, unless somebody's clock is reset off because they set it early so that they're not late for things or something. I don't know. Because otherwise, it hasn't really made much sense to me. He seems to be more talking to you. Talk to me a little bit too. I'm a little bit curious about his channel. So I hope everybody's doing well today. I know, Ansh, I've seen you on one or two of my other videos, so that's been nice. I'm also going to add a little note here. Whoops, no. Sorry.
Do you realize how much money this will save us? What's that?
A business partner. That's what that looks like it is. Anyway, let me just quickly here. I know it might seem weird to pin it, but you know what? If she does tune in and sees that, she'll be like, wow, I guess I really matter to him, because people do, you know, and we should matter to each other. And, you know, they've been a good part of the community. I'm always happy to see them when I can on the comments. Cary Grant, looks like more like, which is ironic because of the Grant. It's kind of ironic because of Gary. It's kind of ironic because of Gary Grant. I don't know. Anyway, sorry. So sorry, I'm a little bit slow. I don't know if it's just Ansh here at the moment or what. So I'm just trying to pick my words carefully, not because I'm trying to be weird or anything, just because my energy level is so, and I just want to pick my words carefully. I have some health difficulties. Life is fragile. I have dreams, and I'd like to see them be a reality. So for all those reasons, I plug forward. If it is just Ansh watching right now, you're just about to go into college or university, and I'm pretty sure, although some people start young or they have it in their family, maybe this could be true as well. I'm pretty sure you've never started a business before, but it's on my mind a little bit. One of our followers, I just wanted to put a standout comment because I only ever see via the computer. And right now I also have something else up on the computer. So if they're here, please let me know. I feel like I need to top up my water with cold, especially because of my throat. And I also feel like I want to call the other person on this channel. I think both of you know, actually. I hope they come back. They mean a lot to you. Well, as I said, yeah, she's been on about 4 or 5 of the videos. That's an interesting question, randomly to jump in with, but I understand if it's your first time here. But yeah, they've been on 1 or 2 of the videos. and on a few of the videos. And yeah, when I'm able to see their chats and communicate with them, they're quite lovely. What's one word that describes your personality? I would like to put that question out to everybody here. Um, if I was to, my bad. Hello, how are you doing? I'm doing all right, thanks. How are you? I mean, I think watch me for a few minutes and you get a pretty good sense, hopefully, and accurately. But the first one that came to mind was kind, and we were talking about big muscles in the video the other day, and it just happened to come into the conversation because of one of our viewers, and another one actually said it must be a lot to carry around all that kindness. And I know it sounds conceited, but you can see in the moment. Yesterday's video, I think it was the only one I did because it was 4.5 hours long. You can see in the moment. I read his comment and thanked him for it. So yeah, I mean, talking about afterwards could sound like I'm making it up, but I'm not. I'm honest is another one, to the best, as much as I possibly can be, you know. But right now, this video is about my heart for other people. A lot of the videos on this channel are about wellness and wanting well for other people, including myself. And I know that there are agencies, locally and otherwise, some better than others maybe, or some aspects of them better than others, that are out there to try and help people. I have been one of those people at a time in my life. But then I also got to a point where I felt like, not that there's any shame in that, but I got to a point where it was kind of like, okay, now I'm ready to be one of the friendly faces that these people see when they first come in the door. Be the one that's actually, you know, my personality and being me. My personality and being me is what, you know, is always going to be there. But I feel like I can make a greater impact. I can do greater things with that. And that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. And like I say, I do see it on this channel sometimes when it's able to come up and we're not just randomly chatting or doing music, and I appreciate that. I want it to be in person more as well these days. But again, I do have a few things coming up in my schedule which are just circulating in my head until they get here. Pretty much, it doesn't matter how many times I've written them out. Doesn't matter if I tell myself I don't need to do anything to prepare myself ahead of time. Until they come, they're circling in my head. But I'm really looking forward to getting to them. What's one word that sounds fake to you? I mean, fake can be a lot of. I know one word that sounds very real to me is authenticity comes to mind. It's interesting, these one word things that you keep bringing up. But it's kind of an interesting aspect of the conversation. You realize that maybe you should have started with a hello, how are you doing? And then you put that in. So I gave you a like, thank you. Although I thought it was already at 3 likes, but maybe, yeah, one of them must have been you on the live, and I'll sub too. 100%. Appreciate it. But again, these questions that you're asking can be to the others as well. I don't know if Ansh is still here, and if he's not, if the other two people are newbies to the channel that are just listening. I mean, if you're putting comments, I'm not seeing them. You're obviously not trolls. I hope somebody tells me. Kirsty was here earlier, but she's multitasking and she's been very hectically busy lately. But I do want people who are genuinely trying to be part of the conversation in a, you know, I'm okay with a little bit of silliness, and even, you know, it's a compliment, you know, if someone wants to give one. But oh, you are? Okay, interesting. Well, I hope that you are able to stay for a while, ask some questions, get some answers, have a good time while you're here. And yeah, hit the bell, hopefully, and I appreciate that. I am a little bit under the weather, but so I'm trying to pace myself here. But unfortunately, there is a lot of fake in the world. I mean, some of it's more in a creative sense, though, and it's kind of like I don't want to talk too much about it, but then there's also um, there's unfortunately a lot of people that do bad things, and there's also a lot of people that feel strong degree of entitlement. And I'll tell you what makes me think that at this moment. When I am thinking about opening a business, or when anyone's thinking about doing something like opening a business, whether you're thinking about it or not, to be honest, um, when you think about things like liability, if someone was to have a fall on the property, um, if the property is well cared for, it most certainly shouldn't be your fault. I'm not saying that the person that fell meant to, but if nothing other than their clumsiness or their instability uh, caused them to, and it happened on a business property, therefore they feel entitled to sue the business, that's where it's wrong. And I heard something recently about somebody can put a not liable sign on, doesn't mean that they're protected from that. So that, makes me feel mixed. I understand, if you have to get an injury looked at, depending on where you are in the world, there may or may not be coverage, or and you might have to lose work or whatever, and your mind starts to think about, oh, I need this money then. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, what's one thing you would change about this world? It's really hard. I struggle to be a one thing kind of person. It seems like, and I've noticed that before too. If I were to say two or three things, though, I would say greed. I get it to a point, but greed. If I was to cluster it actually into one other word, I would simply say struggle. And I know that's, a lot to, that's obviously something that those are things that need changes in people's lives. So Andrew, where are you watching from, out of curiosity? And do you have, I'm trying to figure out what your picture is. Do you have show content as well? Kirsty, are you still there? Aunt, are you still there? In a moment here, because it's going to be somebody's lunch hour, I have to make a very quick phone call, under 5 minutes. Doesn't have to be, I don't need privacy for it, really. I suppose even if I asked for it. But no, I mean, I'm happy to have you here. And actually, he's the other person that I live with and that's in the channel, so on the channel often. So just so you know, because sometimes it's the second person on screen, as Kirsty knows. And so I'm going to call him. He may or may not be getting his lunch at the usual time, but I'd like to check in with him. And then I'll continue this video. I also want to top up my water. But just really quickly, going to AG with the fire art. Fire art? You're a fire artist, a fire performer? And it looks like you also do other art. And I don't want to look too closely in case I see anything that I might find is, well, I kind of do and I kind of don't, disturbing. But what I'm seeing so far looks like nice stuff. Curious. Well, yeah, it sounds like you were scrolling lives. Okay, so I'm going to do this call that I want to make. What do I want to tell him? I don't know. I don't know. Done a couple good streams. Feeling ill a little bit. What else is there to say? Haven't launched a business yet. Haven't won $1 million. I mean, then you let me go to say. Ah! I hope I don't have to go upstairs for a few minutes, but I almost feel like I do. But I'm rolling, and yeah. It looks like the exact same stuff, pretty much. It's the weirdest thing. Unless it is taking whatever out there. It's kind of a habit that I have. Yeah, I don't really feel like going out and doing an errand today anyway. I really feel like being awake at home, but I am. Hope that's the wrong. I have it. Oh yeah. Okay, good timing then. Yeah, I'm feeling so today, but I'm doing a couple of these streams, doing one now, and but yeah. So I don't know. The same. It looks like the same stuff has been sitting there for the past 2 or 3 hours now, and the same 3 vehicles there, and I really don't know what's going on. But anyway, I thought of telling them to donate to Fluffy, but so far none of the stuff looks all that great. So, and it's been kind of busy in the area, students working on that. But let's go on there. Okay. Whose response? Oh, yeah. I think I glanced at it. Well, a lot of people feel this. Hey, we want this opportunity coming up. We want to have a good time at the event, and yeah, don't stir the pot. Okay. Right. Well, yeah. Anyway, it's not as big as you think it is, but we got well, it said 3 now, 2 people here, and I just got a 4th like, so I should probably keep my energy for that and let you go to your lunch. I think it's I don't know, it's so it's kind of windy and dusty, eh? But yeah. Okay, we'll talk to you later then. Bye. Alrighty, and we're back in action. Okay, so thank you for the 4th like, by the way. Curious who gave it. Hopefully I'll see the comments if they show up. I didn't feel like I needed necessarily to put the title in and highlight that comment because it'll be obvious what I'm talking about, but I'm also kind of focusing on other things too. So I think after this, though, I'm definitely, I mean, that movie might get me thoughtful. But I think, but you know, movie do that sometimes. I think after I do this stream, though, I am going to relax, finally watch a movie, tell myself I'm tired, I need to nap during nap time, during the time I'm taking to nap, and then I can do whatever else afterwards. If I need to get up and make a little, I will do so, though, in my schedule. I think that's really what it is, and I'm excited in a lot of ways. So as far as so I want to scroll up a little bit. Now, it initially landed on a certain spot of that message. Hi, Chris, how are you? And the device that I'm trying to follow the messages on, thanks for the 5th like, appreciate it, is being a bit slow and the browser may have just crashed. Oh, no, it didn't. But, you know, it's things like this that make me wonder if it's showing me signs. Like when I'm reminded about my brother for a moment and my dad, and I think about how they were both self-employed, one in a small town very needed for the business that he did. And again, I go back to the first video I did today, which will show as the third now. Although, actually, no, it might show as the second, because I think I decided one just to kind of look back at later, or at least intend to. And I almost want to just re-explain it, but I want to keep my energy for what I'm doing, or at least I think I do, for the other topic. But I am trying to decide. So I know I mentioned it to Leanne, and she said she'll check it out. But she's also getting ready for a trip. Somebody's getting ready to go home from a trip, and somebody's getting ready to go on a trip. And the world keeps spinning. Somebody's going to bed. Somebody's waking up. There's songs about this, I think. Or if there's not, there could be. Somebody's getting married. Someone's getting divorced. Somebody's being born. Somebody's dying. Somebody's this. Somebody's that. There's so much paradox in the world, or whatever the word is, right? But yeah, it makes sense, and for a lot of times, and a lot of times doesn't, I suppose, too. But the point that I'm trying to make is that can't tell you how many times that thing has fallen off the table lately. No, I do want it on though. Oh, I just realized though, I'm doing this on the cell phone, so maybe it's best not to have that on because it's noisy. Unless you guys don't seem to mind though. I might not always be noisy, but in this, yeah, Chris and Kirsty. But yeah, the mic on the cell phone seems to be stronger than the one on the laptop, that's for sure. Hello, welcome again, Rob. I'm glad to have you here. And I feel like, not just for, the fun conversation, but, oh, you're still here, aren't you? I feel like you all are meant to be here, but can't sleep. Okay. I feel like you're all meant to be here, but can't sleep. No. Not just because, but in some reasons, if you're a Christian. Me, I've mentioned before I'm agnostic, so aspects I believe in, but that's not really what I want to focus on talking about right now. I don't want people to be tuning in when we're talking about religion, and although, quick side story. Previous video I did, one of my longtime followers, she does street preaching with agnostic. Street preaching with her father. And I told her I had mixed feelings about that. And you can see that she said that, he just has conversations and asks people questions. If anybody on their team says that anybody's going to where, he gets rid of them from their team. So I said, tell him that I'm impressed by that. I almost thought that said Dustin. Thank you. Well, it's not indicating it at the top of the screen. 1,250 is a very, in which case we should be the next two payouts if they would do it that way. I don't understand how anyone could throw around that much money. It's not indicating it at the top as our total, and no problem, brother. I hadn't thanked you yet. I'm just trying to figure out if it's real first. But because it does come across slightly spammy, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong. If you're just rich and able to be very generous, and I'm just not seeing the indicator that you're giving it, I appreciate it. But seeing it's believing it, I will see if we got a notification about it. Emails. Or better yet, might be better to look at the studio. But going back to that, yeah, also it usually comes through with a little colored background too. So I think you're right. Hi, her. Almost thought you were the fellow in a band in Texas. Fellow, you're a young man. You're not old enough to be a fellow, but you're like, and I'm not in Texas and I'm not a young man. What are you talking about? No, I don't think it is you, but your channel name is a little bit similar. But I'll look anyway, just in case, because heck, that would be nice to have just become more than $1,000 richer. I'll take it if it's real. If it's not, maybe it's a suggestion for even a small donation from any of the rest of y'all. You know, I mean, I'd appreciate. And some of you I'm familiar with for a while now, and yeah. So if you don't mind, I don't either. Especially since I am trying to work towards a goal that it could help with. Clutch G60 is supposed to go. Yo, sup? Are there any Christians in the chat? I told you that was not going to be our main focus in this conversation. I don't know. Are you struggling with something right now, and you feel like why are you asking? Why are you asking? Don't just say I'm just wondering. I feel like there's a reason. And if there is, here's the donation plate. Just kidding. Kind of. Again, who am I to turn down money, especially as a low-income person? I'd be silly. But only if I'm actually getting it, right? Now that distraction kind of distracted me from what I was saying, so just a moment. What was I saying? Does anybody remember? I hope you do. I hope you've been paying attention. There will be a test. That came in twice. I did try and send it to her, so. She's working a lot, and then she's probably doing other stuff when she's not. So, who do we got watching at the moment still? Just checking. So I'm trying to do things on this device, and it's being slow. Yeah, some people, they might not even be sensitive to the sound of that fan, or their audio might not be good enough that it's picking it up. And those are both good things, because it's kind of a whistly sound. But I'll try and be louder than it is, so. Although I am feeling low energy, so we'll have to, I can't make promises on that. But part of the problem is I have lotion on my hands. The other part is the computer's just being a bit slow. Okay, here we go. I think. Well, it's moving the pointer, but it's not clicking anything. Oh, maybe it is. Just not clicking the right thing. So yeah, he's working a lot of messages lately. Okay, so just trying to find the tab I had open a moment ago. Here it is. And I know that sometimes getting a job working for other people for various reasons isn't. I'm very thankful that Zimstan doesn't pressure me, but does want me to, find success, as do I, and as do, others on here, or, I don't know, to be elated. And, yeah, I have mostly acquaintances, though, so it's hard to kind of find who to connect with on these things sometimes. Just that chapter in life. But again, things are becoming busier. Sometimes it takes a while for people to align their schedules, to form a strong connection. And sometimes it doesn't. But anyway. Is anybody here watching at the moment? Just checking if the indicator's right or wrong. Looks like there's one. at the moment. I mean, when we talk about scrolling up in this message or scrolling down, I mean, I see something highlighted here. Where was it now, though? That says easier path to start while keeping it simple. Test as a program first. Program. Run drop-in wellness nights. Says, oh, the house. As an individual, I don't think it would be out of our house. Again, maybe if it was people we were closely connected with, but or under an existing nonprofit, a church that sponsors you. The church are often for profit. And I don't think it'd be that word because it's part of the equation. Even though she handled the situation well, I don't think that she'd be open to doing that. If I was still involved in my old one, maybe, but I'm not, and I don't think I will be. And that one, I feel like there'd be a language barrier, and that is not very likely. Any other existing nonprofit, which usually are at least somewhat for profit, maybe. I just don't know which ones at this point. But when you don't have to deal with the revenue agency or insurance, that they cover you, that's a benefit. It seems like it's almost saying this in order, to be honest, and I think it does make sense. And then you incorporate the province, or where, however it would work where you are. Doesn't need to be charitable status yet, and I'm not really aiming for it to be a charity either. I'm aiming for it to be a drop-in wellness center. I mean, I don't know why I'd have to open a link. Or to sign a lease. Yeah. Then you can go federal. And they seem to be suggesting that because I'm considering a house that's vacant, that it's a perfect pilot project before full nonprofit, low cost, low risk, see if it works. Yeah. Still, I've never done anything like this before, and I'm not really sure how to make it work, I think that the idea is valuable. I think that it's needed. Therefore, it's valuable. And I'd really like to be doing something like this. But I think with this particular option I'm looking at, not only do they maybe have plans which might move faster than I can on this, it's also, even though it's handy, is it too handy? That's the other thing. It's also a matter of how easy would it be, and I've had one small conversation with the one who technically owns it. Maybe not for much longer, but I don't know what their plans are. And that's been part of the problem, well, not really the problem, but I don't drink hardly ever. I don't do drugs. I still struggle sometimes. But, there's various reasons, and they're not necessarily anything I'm doing wrong. There's a lot of competition out there. You have to know the process. You have to sometimes have the needed connections. I am waiting for a phone call from one of them. Once it rings, I'll say a little pre-thing perhaps. But I'm not entirely sure it will, although I'm pretty sure I'll be in his vicinity at some upcoming events. So chapstick if you're curious, chapstick if you're not. Anemia. So, but yeah, so I should, yeah, so yeah. Anyway, but one, I don't think this person is super easy to reach. Although I think it's that church. I think it was that church. And then I forget what I do remember the name Giselle. And then we go from there. And I just hope that, you know, I didn't say what my plan was. I said I'm interested in the property, and she said we're not planning to rent it out again. And I said, does it need work? And she said yes. And I said, oh, okay. Well, all right then, and hung up essentially. Maybe what I should have done is said, what kind of work? Maybe we can work together to fix it up. Here's my goal. That's probably what I should have said. But if they weren't already she wasn't already considering that, even though if it's connected to a church in the neighborhood, which, you know, they bring in they bring in a lot of money from their congregation. If they felt they could afford to do it, these things are very pricey, and decided they wanted to do it, they'd do it. I mean, I suppose maybe she felt she didn't need to tell me that. But she did honestly say that they weren't planning to rent it out again. And then let it sit there for months with nothing really happening with the property. So maybe her thoughts have changed. That's weird. It's showing 5 and 2 hours ago before this one. But it's things like this. You got to think through them just simply to kind of be ready for the conversation sometimes. And I feel like, what if she was to say, what agency do you work for? Well, I don't work for one. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be asking the question. Honestly, I'd have the business already, you know. Or she might say, who do you work with? What's your background in this? And those are questions I can't comfortably answer, because no one yet. Maybe I do need to talk to Joey first. No one that, and minimal. Other than being a client at these things, being very business oriented, not for much of my life, but having a father that also was. And I think it's honestly in my DNA somewhat, because so has my brother been as a music producer. I mean, you know, my dad worked with horses. Somebody had to be the blacksmith for those horses so that they didn't develop, you know, health issues or handicaps because their feet weren't being looked at, you know. So in my small town, anybody that had horses needed a blacksmith, you know. I mean, and there wasn't that many of them probably. So that made it easier for him, I'm sure. You know, word of mouth, the need, not a lot of people doing it. A lot of people may have been welders, but, and with what I'm trying to do here, there is quite a bit of it in the city. And I just want to start my own project, you know. I'd involve other people, of course, but I want to start my own project. That's not what I wanted to look up. Sorry, just a moment. Um, I wish I could remember what it was called, but this ought to find it. Although the other thing connected to this business that I want to start, and it isn't surprising. I mean, we're not super close, but we're close enough to a church that our home was actually owned by one at one point in time. Um, Oddly, the other one, the house that I'm talking about that's been empty, is not owned by that church. Um, and nothing against people's religions, but I don't really think if I'm having to collaborate or coordinate with the Roman Catholic Church or with a church in general, what I need is for what I would prefer is for them to be willing to sign over ownership to me, and then I can do what I can do with that, and what I feel, what I can do and what I feel I'd like to do might be two different things, but who's still watching out of curiosity? Is that number at the top, which is pretty much 0, accurate or not? Because sometimes it isn't. I feel like some of you wandered off, but some of you sometimes go and walk your dog and you don't always say so, and then you're like, I'm back, I was out walking the dog or whatever, or you do this or you do that. And that is kind of an odd job. All yellow. And then you must have misjudged, or maybe your phone died, but maybe I'm misjudging. But and that person was at least looking out for me. They're a little bit odd though. So don't just go by the chat as to what we're talking about, because But anyway, so I either have to convince them to work with me. That's what we have to look at next if we're considering that location. And the handiness of it is appreciated. I'm sure there are other nearby options I could look at. At the moment, they're not jumping to mind. The fact that this process, at least up until now, it's probably not still standing now. No, has been moving so slow. I got distracted. I forgot about it, and I also felt maybe like I wasn't necessarily capable of making anything happen, so I wasn't focusing on it. Now I see a bit of activity happening around there again. Basically, they're emptying it out, and it's kind of like, if I'm gonna do anything, this is my opportunity, perhaps. So I think that's where we're at with it right now, is I need to think to myself, one, can I convince them to work with me? I've already just said, one, not that I can't work with others or feel like I don't need that in this situation, but with someone who I'm not familiar with, who might be highly religious, who might be, which may or may not be a conflict. I'm not a conflict type person, but I think that choice is already nope, not with this anyway. So then what I'm asking them to do is give ownership up. So the question then becomes, what's involved in that? I think they just terminate any lease or whatever that they have with the person, or if they already own it, they probably. I have to look this up because I don't know. I don't even know the right wording. Owner of a house rental. I mean, there are different reasons why one might do that, and certain reasons probably have a more complicated answer. It's true. If the person that's here now is commenting, I'm not seeing it, but hopefully somebody will tell us what I'm not seeing. If you're not commenting, don't be shy. And I don't know if it's accurate that it's just you here, because sometimes it's like, oh, it looks like you all have left. No, I'm still here. Okay. Thanks for being accurate, YT. You know, you're probably going to own it back out, sells or moves into, not moves into a rental unit. That's not what I asked. Backs out, sells, or moves into. They must honor existing leases, usually by having the new owner assume the contract. If they want to the tenant out, okay, that's not what I'm looking for. Hello again, Tomcat. How are you? It's ironic. I think they had a couple cats. Glad to have you here again. Quite the cat in your picture, or it's the angle of it, or something. Anyway, they must honor existing leases, usually by having the new owner assume the contract. Okay. Can you please mod me? I'm not a bot. Oh, I don't think you're a bot. I think we're doing okay on mods, and I can usually keep up with things all right. Why do you ask? Go to curiosity. If the house is sold, the new owner. Return the security deposit and accrued interest to the tenant, or transfer it. I know this may not seem that interesting. Parts of it may, though. So, and parts of it may be helpful for you to know if you don't already know them. I'm not too sure. I don't know if I need to refine my search here, because nobody never modded me, and I'm sad. I'm not smiling at that. I'm smiling at the next comment. I understand that. I help mod some channels, but some I'm not super active on anymore. But I understand. You want a sense of purpose. You want to, like I say, I do have some. Some I haven't seen in a while. Some I have. Some of them are fairly regular in here. I also, unless I'm playing music, I can keep up with things pretty well. It's when there's hidden comments, like the previous one, it said there was 82 comments. I probably saw 30 or 40 of them. So that's totally happening. And as long as they're not trolls, which, I mean, if I can understand, I can take a little bit of compliments. I can take a little bit of quirkiness and a little bit of silliness. But if like it's barbaric or insulting or rude or whatever, you know, there's no place for that here. And that's where I see that maybe I could stand to have one, especially when there isn't currently one watching, because I can't deal with what I don't see. So therefore, I'm never doing nothing and not timeout. So yeah, what it would be a standard mod where you could, I mean, put people on a timeout so that I can then decide what to deal with them. Or like I don't need to know about ones that are really outrageous comments that I'm not seeing. Just deal with those. That's what I'm saying. But I understand the desire, purpose. Thank you for the 6th like. And you know, I don't think it's rare that, you know, well, sometimes there's 2 or 3 mods in here at one time. Just don't misuse it, eh? You sound like you won't. So, people might come in and say, look at all these mods. And I have to laugh. I'm not too sure if Tabire. Ow! I have a sensitive spot on my finger at the moment, and I just kind of, luckily didn't bend, but just kind of hardly pressed it against my laptop charger unintentionally. Tabara Makalushihas. That felt like it rolled off the tongue accurately. That is a great name. Hungar Ryan is your first name, Ryan, and you're doing a play on words. I'm Hungar Ryan, Hungarian. My dad's name is Gary, so that's ironic. And I'm not Hungarian, that I know of, but maybe I do have a little bit of that. But whenever I'm hungry, I sometimes say I'm Hungarian, so that's funny. Where are you watching from again, Tomcat? I think you've been on 2 or 3 of the videos. So, in Canada, what's involved in an owner of a house rental Exiting, no, remove. So, how is your day going, by the way? Yeah, where are you watching from? They have to do strict provincial residential tenancy law things, unfortunately. So, I mean, there's various topics that we get into on this channel. This is where we're at today. The landlord cannot, okay, right, but there's nobody to evict. There's nobody. Oh, right, you're the one from Estonia. I thought that was somebody else the other day, though. I know about 2 or 3 days ago you were on the video. Were you on the one yesterday? Because I feel quite strongly like it was yesterday. I mean, that would just be a coincidence that there had been 2 people from Estonia watching, but I don't think it was you. So maybe there was. And I can't remember exactly where, and I know I said it to that person as well as a couple other interesting coincidences, but I don't remember where my tablet is. No, I don't remember exactly where in the world that is. Yeah, where is my tablet? Oh, I don't know. Would be handy to know, but I don't. I'm hoping it's on the kitchen counter. Anyway. Canada. Ooh, Canada. Let's get to avoid the risk and delays of a formal and 12. Okay, but it's not an eviction. This often involves paying a tenant to move. Okay, that's not. It's a unique situation. But if they do not plan to keep the title, and that's information that I don't have, if they do not plan to keep it, then I don't see why I hate to speak things out and feel like I'm jinxing it. But let's just say it this way. If they haven't paid for any crew to do anything with the property other than whoever's emptying it right now, who are not the people that lived there before. And if they haven't paid, this is where my reality is right now, so welcome to it. Also, feel free to mention favorite songs, favorite passions. Yeah. If they haven't paid somebody to, if they have, then they're probably, well, you know, yeah. But if they haven't yet, although you got to wonder what took them so long, maybe they were saving for it. Because I can bet that if they, whether it was their money or church's money or whatever, if they paid to do something, they're going to do it. People don't usually like to just throw their money around, even if they're doing all right with it. I have to go upstairs for under 5 minutes. I have a bit of a distraction. And I have to decide if I also should make this phone call. Because I can stop thinking about it right now, or at least, until I can utilize the information I stopped way back, like 2 or 3 days back on the chat. But I can utilize this information when I have another location in mind, perhaps. But right now, I need to decide about this location. I need to know, is there any possibility that they would sign ownership over to me? And then that's the first step. Once it's in my name, I can either utilize it for a purpose. um, or not. I mean, if the place sits there empty continuously, then, well, nothing's changed about the atmosphere. Protecting property owners to admonish them regarding the rental property, especially about property managers in place, is generally legally permissible. Its ownership is required, but it often carries risks of friction or being referred back to the management company, while owners often prefer to avoid direct contact. So I think what this is saying is if I decided to do that and it went back to them, they probably wouldn't be very happy about that. But if they have not incurred any costs and they just go with their original plan, then they'll plan to do it anyway. Wish I had somebody watching right now who had some background in this. But I think that's what I need to ask. I need to stop thinking about it right now, even though I do upstairs for a moment and maybe I need to stop thinking about it right now, and I need to. What's the phone number for the place? I saw it a moment ago, did I not? No, I don't. And what's that telling me? I don't know. It's telling me why don't they have a listed phone number? The Wikipedia. Name of the architect, date it opened, and what its function is. I'm sure if I type phone number, because I found it before, but that may have just been a land title. Like, why is it such a secret? Who's still watching out of curiosity? Well, if I don't have a number to call, then I can't call. I mean, it's as simple as that. That's very strange. That's maybe telling me something. I don't know. It's telling me to either try a further step, but why do I always have to prove how strong, how willing, how much gusto I have? Why can't I do a little bit? I mean, I'm not saying it never happens, but it doesn't happen enough. Why can't I just do a little bit and get the result that I'm trying to? I mean, like I said, it does happen. It probably happens every day. I mean, I do a good stream. We have a decent day. But with the bigger things, not that. see how tomorrow goes. I'm just going to make a note here. She's technically at work. She doesn't have time to talk to me. Probably say I can done it. And I mean, I'm not going to need to talk about the dentist appointment probably. And then the other thing after that isn't till like Friday. So I hate to wait that long. At first, it sounded like I was going to be able to talk to her this week, but then she said just not during the week, but Monday or Saturday or Sunday maybe. It is, well, it's not a weekday, but yeah, it's a weekday. I know, makes a lot of sense, right? Anyway, I should watch a movie soon. I do want to share something though, and I'm moving on those, but my muscles are sore, so I'm just gonna put some of this on and watch for Wendy to appear. That's a bit of not an inside joke, but it would make sense to her and probably not to anybody else, to be honest. See her. I hope she's okay. So while I was briefly upstairs, I don't know what the source was that I heard this from. Usually I do, but like I have a lot of angels, so if it's one of my loved ones trying to communicate with me, I'm not really sure which. And I suppose it doesn't matter which, but I do feel like I don't necessarily, personally, it's not that I'm against religion for the most part. I mean, it depends. But I'm not going to say this was a message from God. I might say it was a message from myself. I more so say I feel like it was a message from my angels. And that maybe, yeah, it doesn't matter which one, whether that means that the message is stronger or not because it's more than one or not. I feel like when I was upstairs, I heard, if it's this hard, what you're trying to do, maybe it's not meant to be. Now, the reason why I would think I'm not hearing that from my angels is because they want me. They want all of us, our loved ones and our angels want all of us. And this is where it's maybe, it's not specific, but it's kind of generic in a way, to be living our best life, doing our best, being well, putting the focus, we need to focus on ourselves, but also being there for others, those kind of things. And so I have a real hard time accepting the fact that any of my angels would say, don't try for what I'm trying for. And I also feel like something would have stopped me sooner. And I mean, some of this goes back a few weeks. Sorry, just a moment here. No, a few months rather, and then there was a bit of a gap, and now we're looking at it again. And my one friend, and it was kind of ironic the amount, and I can't believe I didn't think of Ray, but maybe I did. Actually, she could afford to do so probably, but she actually put $32 towards this whole process back then. I think that she looked at it as, and I know that's not a lot of money, but I think that she looked at it as a expenditure worth making, that I'm worth it. Maybe it would work out. Maybe it would lead to something for me. And as much as I sometimes have mixed feelings about this person, I really do like them. I really do value them. She has been a great person in my life, has done some things for me that I never would have thought that somebody connecting to her how I did would do. I almost want to briefly go away from this, but I think that that's got to be accurate. Even if the messages aren't loading, it says active 23 hours ago. I'm thinking that's got to be accurate, but then this person, okay, now I just lost my spot there. It doesn't say at all. So I'm just very briefly going to use this device and go and message someone. She's probably at work, but maybe she's off today, and I'll be right back. For a moment, it looked like the person was still there. I know that was inaccurate. 23 hours ago there. Go to my other device. She's online now. She might also be at work, though, like I said. We'll see. She works pretty much full time, but if she's not at work today for one particular reason, she may or may not be available. I guess we'll find out. But I don't think that but then, honestly, with my chronic fatigue and my arthritis and the way that my body reacts to stress, I learned something interesting. Not that I have a thyroid issue, but my mother does. That if this, I don't even know if I knew about thyroid cancer, but it's one of the easiest cancers to treat. So keep that in mind, folks. I don't know the person's background that told this, but I don't think they would say so if they didn't know it. Not that people don't sometimes say things that they don't have fully accurate information about, but with that kind of thing, I don't know why somebody would if they didn't have some sort of experience in knowing that. But as far as, feeling like I'm hearing and now I can't unhear it, if something is so hard to bring into fruition and you've taken some steps and you've tried to make some effort and you still can't, maybe it's not meant to. But that's a hard one. Because even though I'm not, what would have been unique about it? And should I even go there and ask that? I do think maybe, but then you have to pay rental fees, most likely, or be involved in something like a church community. I do think that it's not a bad idea to use a space that's already there, that's accessible, but that's the thing, the accessibility. And I don't know. It makes me wonder, it really does, if my dad was still alive, how helpful he would be in this equation. I know he'd certainly want to be, but with his experience, they're self-employed where you run a business and you have an actual place that you're operating that business out of, and you have different programs or things that it offers or whatever. And then there's another thing where all you need is a client list. And for him, it was go and work on their farms, and, as long as they continue to have horses, that need their feet maintained, then they do. So if I was to look at it that way, where I just need a client list, because this self-employment thing is kind of a new venture for me, somewhat, sort of. Yeah, I've known that for a long time now. How do I get it? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I have great interactions on the channel here a lot of the time. And those people, they sometimes need support from me, and sometimes it's simply that they just want someone to socialize with. So I know that what I'm doing, what I'm bringing to people, even though other people are doing it too, I have my own ways of going about it. I have my niche areas of focus, I am my own person. And I know that I am bringing value. What's missing from it, largely, almost entirely, is the face to face interaction. Now, I've grown up in the digital age, so I mean, I'm used to, that format, but there is something. I mean, it has positivities. It could also have some potential for awkwardness, perhaps. But that face to face interaction, truly, because we all need it to survive in the world, the money aspect of it. I consistently post every day, sometimes twice, and every now and then 3 times. And the videos have been doing pretty well, and the ads have helped, and some of the regulars come back and all that, fairly often. But there's still a part of me that feels like something about the consistency isn't there. But I think what it is the consistency and the balance with those other 2 aspects that I'm not getting is where I need it. So, this is how you talk through your goals, folks. Am I going to get there anytime soon? I can't tell you. Is it all helpful? Is it all necessary? Maybe, maybe not. But this is how you can talk through your goals. So if you'd like to talk about any of your goals, I believe we only have one person here at the moment, if that's accurate. Some of the people just seem to have wandered off. But we have 2 people now. And that is a big thing that I'm 4 people. That's a big thing that I'm always going to be about, is helping people reach their life goals, help them get where they want to get in their life, to put it that way. The other thing is wellness, because that should be part of your life goals. We all have a mental health. We all have a mind that needs to be healthy. So mind is a nicer word, I think, to use. So whether that's a mind that already has mental health or wellness, mind wellness issues, or like, why in all these years has that language not been changed? That's why there's still some stigma. And then people that do really, really crazy things, and they say, oh, I guess they're mentally ill. Yeah, probably. But a lot of people that aren't going to do aren't going to do those kind of things too. Anyway, point of the matter being is wellness, something we all should always be striving for. Hello, you're back again, Anj. Glad to have you here. So, accessibility outside of YouTube is sometimes a real struggle. And so that's why I'm so thankful for this platform. I wish that I could, again, this thing I'm going to be going to in a few days. I'm going to try my best to get to it bright and early in the morning for the most part. I think he may have left, or they may have left. But I'm not entirely sure, because there is 2 other people, so maybe they came back. What was I looking up? I don't know. Oh, right, the Instagram thing for a moment. I'm tempted. Well, I already know what you look like. I have you on here. We talk almost daily. I don't really use that site very much, so no, we don't need to connect there, is what I'm saying. But if I used it more, maybe. So what else? I mean, I know that, Aunt, you were hoping to get into, I'm confusing you with the other guy the other day, but you're hoping to get into college. And I think you said medical as well, did you not? you are hoping to obviously do stuff with your music. You are hoping to maybe move to another country, you know, whether for your studies or otherwise. You are hoping to have loving and and happy connections. And honestly, we all want that. We all want to feel um, we all want to be living in a comfortable place with with the resources that we've required or are able to acquire to um, have a good job and to have healthy, helpful, uh, happy connections. Truly. So you're not unusual, okay? I did, but the course is so long. I'm doing forced services. Oh, that's very interesting. Oh, Sam, I hope you're okay. Sorry. Um, interesting. Canada. Yeah, like I say, where I'm at, that sounds lovely. Whether you were thinking of it before meeting me or not, I don't know. Do you know many Canadians out of curiosity? Even if you don't, hopefully I'm worth it enough for you. Switzerland, interesting. And that reminds me, it really looked like he was at the mountains, but the course is so long. Yeah, that's sometimes the thing. The college or university commitment. You can see these things sitting here spinning. The college or university commitment can be a lot, that's for sure. And the cost too, right? Even if you get a loan. Well, you don't personally know Shawn Mendes and Justin Bieber, but okay. Okay, right. Um, and I am kind of one that says the shorter the course, the faster the real life work experience, the better. You know, seriously. I don't know why I said it that way, but seriously. Um, especially with this generation. I don't know why I feel especially with this generation, but I do. Have you? Like at his concert, he signed something for you. You have a very interesting music with it. A lot of pop. Yeah. I don't know much of his music. I know a little bit of Justin Biebs, but not much. Can't believe I've never said Justin Biebs. Well, you have to show that on your next video. That would be, oh, that's amazing. Well, you know, you're young, pretty than you're having, you know, experiences, and that's lovely. Um, and I thought about it the other day that one of the biggest things about my message on this channel is also authenticity, being comfortable being yourself, being comfortable growing into yourself, um, can be quite a beautiful thing. Um, it's not always going to be easy. When you feel like you've made a bunch of progress and then you go stagnant, for instance, you feel like you're not making the progress you would like. I need to go back to before I possibly consider music or wrapping this up and letting you get to bed shortly and maybe finally watching that movie. It's still 2.5 hours, almost 3 before G's home. When I was upstairs and heard, if something is this hard, I think it's not necessarily, maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe the question I need to ask myself is, I'm sure I want it. Am I absolutely positive that it is what I feel is right for me? Which, again, I'm not too sure which source this statement is coming from at the moment, but I feel like that's not the same as would I do good at it? Would I enjoy it? But is it truly meant for me? And the answer is yes, but the answer is possibly just on this platform and just as I'm going about my life. That I sometimes, but most of the time, probably wouldn't do well under pressure and stress. And I, I sometimes feel like I'm retired, although I'm not yet. I feel like often, and thankfully it's understood by the person I live with, often I need to, for the most part, be going at my pace and adjusting it along the way. A lot of us probably would benefit from that. But when you have some health issues and you have, doesn't matter how strong you are as a person, doesn't matter how much gusto you have, um, the experience that I went through earlier today and the process of all this stuff I was thinking of, that's how, because if I was, let's picture this for a moment, okay? Just my personal example here. If I was to open this wellness center, what would that actually look like for me? I would arrive, let's say that it's been open a week, okay? I would arrive, maybe for the first while, it wouldn't really look like much. I'd have the place, I'd be still trying to, make people aware of it. Now, where I'm hoping it would happen at is a pretty, yeah. I mean, I'm going to have all types. I'm not going to turn people away because of religion. But there would be a lot of Catholic, Christian, community type people. And that might just be this kind of pocket, this kind of area of our town Edmonton. And again, I'm not opposed to that, but I feel like it's a slight drawback for reasons I can't quite express at the moment. But so say I built up some, okay, this place exists. I would have to, before I even open the doors, I feel like, have the programs, have some workshops, have some group plans laid out. And I know what a couple of them would be, but I also know that's where the issue of some of the nearby businesses that are religious run, mental health, people are always going to want people to have good mental health, and that's something that, but being so close to that, would they see it as, well, there's no more risk than society in general? As far as I'm concerned, not everybody that has a mental health issue is dangerous. That might be the stigma a lot of the time. But so, no, I don't think that's a good argument. And that's what I'd probably say to it. And as far as, and I'm sure that people would be fine with, okay, mental health workshops, wellness groups. The other thing that I feel like I'd want to incorporate is accepting the LGBT community as people, as clients. And that may be where, some people aren't going to like that, especially if they are super religious. Although a lot of like the younger, not that it would only be for young people, but, again, they're still trying to figure out what they believe in, how they believe in it, like a lot of us, but especially at that age group. But it's kind of like, that would be, I want it to be inclusive, in that way. And if somebody doesn't like that, they can go to another place, but I don't need it to be bringing upon any issues. It's supposed to serve a good purpose, we don't have a lot of resources for that stuff that I know of. I mean, you have to find your community, we don't have a lot of that, so it's not that we don't have any, and it would be nice for people who have mobility issues and our transit system sucks. It would be nice to have another option in the city. Because I'm not the only one that struggles to get around. I'm not. Be right back on the screen, folks. I just need to take a breather and look out the window. Depends on a perfect day. What's that word called? That yard has been full of junk most of the day. That vehicle was pulled in and out at the time. The door is now closed. That's up there. I don't know about the stadium when it was there. I see a guy in the yard. What's happening? Somebody's doing something this way. What's happening, folks? Something needs to happen. We're not looking at it. But yeah, I need to either get them talking to the screen and to myself. I need to either get them to sign over ownership, and then I need it to work out for me, or I don't. But these are important things to think about. These are important things to think about, I feel like. And in an ideal world, you know, I want to value when people are wanting to come into the conversation and they don't necessarily have the same template in front of them, It's not even a script, it's an outline. I don't have that very often in my videos. Occasionally, or I have song ideas, but otherwise I don't, and I really should. So, for instance, tomorrow's little video before I go out, it's a piece of my resume. It's folded. It's got spills on the bottom. It's also got a lot of other stuff there. Where's that pencil? It's on it. I'm going to go for a little bit longer here. And that was just a lot of plastic on the thing. Why do I keep walking into that plant only lately? So also while I'm doing this process, then am I being told that once you open a business, you have to be expected, I could just be open 3 days a week. Well, then on those 3 days, I have to be expected to feel well. I think being successful in this would help me feel well. I mean, there may be other aspects about it, but handiness, the proximity nearby, getting there should never be a problem. I can open at 10 if I so desire. Problem is being open in school, then there's that. I could open from 10 until 5:30. Then I would need half an hour to unwind, and it changes their evening routine a bit. That's for sure. Or from 5, and then open 7 till 8:30 in the evenings or something like that. And what kind of programs would I offer, or what kind of programs would you like in such a thing? There might only be one of you here right now, but the question is still there for you. Aunts, hello? I'm sorry. So I don't know. I really have to pay attention to how I'm feeling. I feel like I'm making progress, if nothing else. Even if I don't sleep in a nap, I guess a rest is appreciated. When the body and the mind slows down, sometimes it feels like it's given permission to speed up, right? But then I get in the bath, and I think the water mostly has the relaxation effect. And then we'll finish watching the stuff we didn't finish watching the other day. I'll probably take the evening off because I will be playing what G missed, which would be our videos most likely. I mean, it isn't always. It isn't always because I either don't feel like it. I've done an evening stream. I'm not ready yet. Whatever it is, but I need to get ready to do that. And then I think it's just heating stuff up. I don't know what I'm making him, but we'll figure that out. And then tomorrow we'll get some new other food options, which would be nice. And as long as I try and give, even though we don't get a ton, it does help. As long as I try and get half for me, half for him, it should be fine. So, and what looks like it was in it. I don't know what else. Possibly other copies of my resume. Nope. I can do minor yard work. We don't have a lawnmower, and we don't really have much grass. So, but unless somebody's providing a lawnmower, I can't cut it for them. I also otherwise don't mind cutting the grass as long as I'm not stirring up too many things that I might have at least seasonal allergies about. But whatever. Just simply resting my voice is probably a good idea. But when I think of this place that I had a placement at, I think of mental health. I think of spirit. I'd rather be using a pen for that. Now, how much I would bring to the table. I mean, yeah, you're going to get a mix of people on here too. But if people don't like something, they'll scroll on to something else. Or they will just do their best to ignore it. Like, one should do anyway. Or whatever. That must be outside. That beeping? I just want to quickly take a look. I don't see what's doing it though, so I do kind of want to check my checkbooks just a moment. It'd be nice to know that I have that. I'm inside. Oh my goodness. Ansh, are you still there? It says that there's been someone there for a while. You didn't say you were going anywhere. I know you're here, so it must be you. And if there's anybody else here, it's not saying that they are, and they're not saying anything. So, the thing I had was just out there. I'm gonna go get it because we'll probably look at it in more depth tomorrow. But I can't forget this card. Not super surprised that I don't. So I have a couple questions for one or both of the people that are still here. One, first of all, if you can tell me who's watching, that would be great. I don't really want to put these questions out here if there's only one person and they don't want to say anything. Like Hans is here, like, I'm just listening to Shawn Mendes over here. I'm supposed to be listening to me. Come on. Who needs Shawn Mendes? Just kidding. That's actually kind of interesting though, because Shawn at that place. Well, that was not me. That was them, and he knew it. They have wild things where there's no. He's going to come back again. That and he hasn't been. So let's not do anything further. Unfortunately, the woman had him, in the palms of their hands. But I mean, I'm not trying to say anything against the gender or that I definitely didn't do anything wrong. Definitely didn't. Most definitely. They were just sensitive. But I tried to make it happen there too. It was really weird that there didn't seem to be much already happening, or at least not in the daytime. But they already had somebody else for that role, and she wasn't very good at working with others. So she was kind of new to it too, but as far as in that role. But okay, well, there's somebody here, so I'll just let you know what's coming up in the video tomorrow, probably. And if not tomorrow, Saturday, late afternoon, probably. We will be talking about mental health. So this is where I wanted to ask people. It might be. I think it's Ansh that's here, but you're not saying anything. And if you have said anything, your most recent comments aren't showing up. All I still see is that you met Shawn Mendes in person and you have an autograph from him. Okay, now the person left. Unless it's him and he's trying to put comments and he's going to go and come back or something. Anyway, what do I need from this topic? And what do I think others need? I mean, I asked this anyway, but so we'll do how's everyone today? Really? How is everyone? How really is everyone today? How is everyone really today? How is everyone today really? I don't know which sounds best. They all kind of sound all right to me. And I mean, I've had this in my life. I've had people do these things for me, and even if it hasn't got me, all the way up the top of the ladder or always feeling healed, it's a continual thing, continual maintenance type of thing. So I love how that just kind of came out of things. I'm starting to see a bit of a format for not even just the next video, but always. And it kind of has come together in a way that's a little bit unique. In a way that I don't quite usually do it, which I'm quite happy about. I almost want to test it, but I'd want to see if whoever is watching is willing to chat. That I feel like it's better organic, as comes up, obviously. I may not see you as customers, but I will see you as someone who I'm providing a service to. I look at YouTube as something fun, but I also look at it as work, even if it doesn't always pay. Then we will look at your needs in the arts, even if you're more athlete type person. We all like entertainment. So what is your joy areas of joy? I don't know if I should use the other word that I'm thinking of within that. And I think in this order too. One, get them being appreciative of what I've just brought up and how I've maybe helped them. Obviously. That goes in the middle. Then we talk about that. This may follow at sometimes. May follow. And then hello, you're back. Good to have you back. What have you been up to? Aunt said hi to you when he came back, but I think you weren't still. Oh, you weren't still there. So don't say hi to him because I don't think he's still here now. You guys are coming and going a bit, but what time is it in Estonia right now? And you still haven't said like what part of the world is that? Is that Europe? Oh, you're welcome to eat and watch. I don't mind. I sometimes eat and roll. Eated? Eated. Sorry, it's just interesting wording. Eted. I also am very collaborative, but if that means more with my viewers than other agencies or whatever, I mean, in time, maybe. We'll see what that looks like. Europe. Okay, cool. Have you ever been to Canada? And I'm tempted to ask your age. I'm tempted. But if it's under 18, I'm not too sure I'd want to know that. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 90, 91. So is that 8 o'clock? I thought that Aunt just said an hour ago that it was 8 o'clock in India. Okay. I don't know if it's a language barrier or your age. Your the way that you're forming your sentences is a little bit. I'm understanding it, and I'm not judging you, but it's interesting. So I have a question for you. Okay, let's test this out a little bit. Just because you're here and you're chatting, and I want to do it. I want to see what this looks like in action. Okay, so I have a few questions here. You're like, yeah, you have been asking them. No, I have other ones. One, and I may have already asked, how are you doing today, really? But if you don't feel like you've said, please do. What has you most sad right now in life, whether it's your personal life or in general? Don't worry. I know that sometimes the hard, heavy emotions are hard and heavy, but I have a method with this, and I think that it'll prove to be good. I'm just gonna go top up my water. I feel like that's all I've been doing the past couple hours. It's like it just does not stay cold. Are you saying it's too personal, or you want to focus on the personal as opposed to the in general? If it is too personal, you can. I mean, first of all, I'm not judging. Second of all, at the moment, the elves. I mean, things have had some action in this video, but it's a little bit quiet right now. There's a second person here right now, though. But we won't tolerate you as a mod, me as a host. Anyone disrespecting or opinions, suggestions could be welcome. But otherwise, yeah. So just so you know that, and you don't have to worry about me judging you for the most part. So, but if you rather not take the personal approach, then what you could do is say, in the world, what has you upset about the world these days? This is going to be something, just going to give you a heads up. This is going to be something I think I'm going to incorporate in this way more often on this channel, in this specific way. It will look different each time depending on the answers that people give and what people are feeling on a particular day. You might be working on your answer to that question. I just want to give you an example of the next one. And what I will say, hopefully you're still with us here. Maybe I feel like there's a reason you're asking. When I was in the other room, I was speaking to you still. I was just getting my water into half a cookie. And if it leads to that, it leads to that. So I don't know if I've ever came up with a thingy where I've had a title with it in such a process like this. But no, why do you ask? I feel like there's a reason you're asking. Unless that was the reason. Other question is, and I'm calling this the Healing Progress Stairway. Or stairs. No, stairway. Steps. No, I don't know what I'm calling this. Healing Progress Stairs. Well, I ask the question and then I stare at you and wait for the answer. Yeah, sure. And if people think of the song, they think of the song. Anyway, skip. What has you most frustrated in life? Come on, we all have feelings. We all have things that make us sad, that make us frustrated in life. And those feelings can go together, but they can also be separate. The point of this exercise is to address the deep and heavy stuff, or potentially deep and heavy stuff, and then follow it with what's making you the most happy in your life. If you'd rather do that backwards, you can, but I would think that most of us would rather get the harder stuff out of the way first and then talk about, I'm not too sure how used you are to talking about that kind of stuff. But again, we all have feelings, we're all going through stuff. You do give a slightly young vibe, but maybe not. It's one of those things in life. You will have chapters where one will have a lot of friends, and you will have chapters where you don't. I mean, I don't necessarily need to know specifically. But one thing that I will say is that I do feel like maybe I'm wrong because, and again, I don't need to know, but if you were in school, in the school system, I guess that's not a guarantee that you would have friends, but you probably would. Or if you had coworkers that hopefully you get along with. But we can leave that at that. Having friends is happy. You make you happy. Of course. Makes sense to me. What do you feel are your... One minute here. This is a question for even athletes, even people that, people don't necessarily have, or non-entertainers, non-performers, which is clearly not me, but so whether you're a performer and into doing the arts, or you just like to watch them because you're more into sports or something like that, that's fine. I think that, sometimes people are more strongly into one category than the other. But almost everybody likes music. You know what I mean? Like almost everybody is impacted by music and and performance styles of different types. So what is something that you feel that brings you joy within that? Your areas of joy within that. What? Okay. Now that may have been, how do I undo it? That's the thing. Okay, for 10 seconds. Um, uh, uh, Poseidon Pingus, you timed him out. Why? Sorry about that. But hopefully you are still here and able to participate in the conversation. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it says it's only for 10 seconds, so hopefully he'll be able to comment after that. You know, I will let you know that with him, I'll always decide, okay? Because even though there's one thing I know about him, I feel a little mixed. And he maybe feels the same about me. And he was kind of going on about religion a bit earlier, which I'm not opposed to, but I just didn't know what his reasoning was. And I didn't even see his comment unless you were scrolling up. Quite was in them. Anyway, try to be a little less clumsy, eh? But no, I appreciate your apology. Those things happen. But yeah, he's fine. Just want you to know that. So the question about the arts that I asked, answer? It really hasn't a whole lot in this, but it feels like there's more in it. But that's just the sleeves, right? This seems to be the page I meant to focus on. But maybe I feel like it's in a way, even though it could be deeper and heavier at times, I feel like it's in a way. By the way, do you post content, Tomcat, as well? I feel like at times this will just be like a kind of a smaller thing that maybe I'll do on the channel as often as I think to do it. Hopefully, maybe not every stream, but at least once or twice a week. In fact, I'm going to add that there. Or when, and it's pretty consistent, a lot of viewers, because the more people there are, the more people that may need to answer that question. What do you post? What kind of stuff do you post? And the question was, what are the kind of things, what are your areas of joy within entertainment and arts? And I know that might be a slightly funny wording, but it's what I got. Aside from stomach cramps. Heck, I almost feel like I need to have that. But I value my routine and having it when I usually do. Sorry. If I should take one of these or if I even did earlier today. I mean, I am so maybe I need the man vitamin. I don't really know some English. Okay. You do all right, though, it seems like. So realize that sometimes not just a general interpretation, but there might be a language barrier with some folks then. Okay. And actually, I'm wondering if maybe I should rephrase this question. But I kind of only think of that for one, maybe two reasons. Man, these things are huge. I don't know if I want to take those. If I did take one of these, it was this morning, many hours ago. I'm looking at vitamins at the moment. I'm not big vitamin taker, but how would I reword this question? I don't know. How would I reword this question? It's very interesting to see habitat there. I think I got to cross that out and forget about them. They may do a lot of good for people, but I'm not going to have them do anything for me. Because I was involved with them back in 2012. If anything more was meant to come from that, maybe it would have closer to then. But I didn't have a goal then. But maybe I don't now either, as far as that goes. Europe have night right now, and if you have night, of course we have night. Everywhere has night, but right now, no, it's late afternoon. Sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry here, but I am starting to feel like it's not just a language thing that you might be under 18, and I don't want to get in trouble with anybody's parents getting mad, or and I don't want things to be awkward, and I don't have a filter sometimes, but again, I'm not the wildest on the internet. But I feel like you might be under 18. So what I do have a question for you before we wrap up, because I am tired and wanting to do other things anyway, and you sound like you're ready for bed in a moment. So one more question. What do you feel? Okay, that's how old I was when I lost my dad. What do you feel has been the most benefit to you from this? I mean, other than, and I'm sorry, by the way, if you don't feel like you have friends in school. You said you'd be happy if you have friends. I don't know if that means that you feel you don't, or that you don't, or if you do. But the point of the matter is I hope you do. I hope you have good people in your life. I hope you have good parents. And anybody who's a weirdo trying to do weird things, honestly, probably wouldn't feel those things. They'd be like, oh, your parents aren't watching you, and blah, blah, blah. You know? But the other thing I want to ask. Oh, there's a big rip in that. Oh, that's that one, though. Yeah, I think we should actually get rid of this. The other thing I want to ask is, what do you feel? I'm talking to you even though I'm in the other room. What do you feel has been the most benefit to you on this video or any of my other videos that you've seen? What do you feel is something that you feel will stick with you for a long time that you've heard me say? I mean, I know that I'm doing goodness. Goodness do I know. You unfortunately have to bike in the wind, but you know. And I'm still very happy to have had you in my world and as part of my day. And I hope that you are as well. You have friends, but if you get more, you're happy. So, because, what, again, I'll ask it one more time. I understand what did you say right now, but I don't know English. How can I word it differently? What has been the most powerful thing that you have heard me say? Maybe I'm looking for validation. I don't know. No, I'm just curious. And I'm looking for validation. I struggle with patience sometimes. I know you're writing and you're doing your best, but I do. I struggle with patience. So here's what I think it actually might be. But if your answer comes in while I'm saying this, then that's fine too. It's not just language barrier. It is that I need to be careful as much as I can be with minors being on this channel. And, you know, I'm a good person. And I don't know how much of this you understand, but I think you also need to be careful on the internet. Right now, I'm watching you stream tomorrow. Well, I have some unfortunate news for you. It's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. I'm glad you want to come back tomorrow, maybe very strongly so, but I'm going to ask you not to, please. I think that you seem like a good person as well. Yeah, thank you. And you the best in your adult life. I do. Um, I am not going to sit here and guarantee that it's going to be an easy life. And maybe it already hasn't been for you. But it's the language barrier, it's the being underage, and I feel awkward about it a little bit. And part of it is just because of how society is. And I'm not saying they don't have reason, in a lot of cases. But I'm not going to be a reason why they feel, into the future, since none of them are here right now, we're this far in, that something awkward is happening or that they misjudge something and they ask you because, I know you didn't say right away and I said you didn't have to say because, I value this connection. Like I value a lot of connections when I have them. But, so they could have looked at it as, okay, it's just this person's ability with English. And I'm very curious to know what an Estonian accent sounds like, probably European, like you said. But you are who you are, and who you are is an 11-year-old. And that is going to be present. And who you are until under the age of 18 is someone under the age of 18. So enjoy your youth while you got it. Because as you get older, you may or may not be as able physically and such to do the things that you enjoy doing. Live for the moments, live for the day. Be a good person to others as you are. Maybe find an enjoyable hobby like playing music, doing art, a sport. And that one question, or any other, I mean, I think some people your age would. What I've left you with, I guess, is the fact that there are good people out there. Know that there are unfortunately bad people out there too. So, again, nothing personal. I wish you very well, but I can't go on this channel. I'm sorry. Who else do we got here? That wasn't an instance of a troll as much as it was a minor. Something that in my day, and I'm not that old. I mean, it's not that I didn't use computers or that I didn't use phones. I used them in school. I used them otherwise. Well, I didn't have a cell phone when I was young. And I feel mixed about it these days. I think that, it's good for parents to be able to reach their kids. And I think that there are some benefits. And a lot of people, whether they're on the autism spectrum or not, a lot of kids find it easier to communicate through a game or through online communication. But I didn't think a lot of numbers are out there because it's not just adults that have them. But yeah, so anyway. Well, folks, I've actually been rolling for 2.5 hours, which is a lot longer than I had kind of intended, although I didn't really have a particular intention as far as duration. Looks like the other person just left. My system, my earache, my kind of sore stomach, my sore back, my somewhat sore throat are telling me to wrap up. So, what I'm also going to do sometimes, okay, the person left. But you know what? It's okay if I don't with this one because I'm still trying to figure things out. Although I may have said some pretty wise things and may have said some helpful things. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I really would say, huh, you must watch this if you're looking to reach these goals. I know what I'm talking about. I'm getting there. I think that is true. And there was some self discovery in some areas with this.